problem today is asking us which graph best represents the line x minus y is equal to 3. And for us to solve this, there's more than one way to solve this, but for the first method, let's just get the equation and let's solve it for y, right? We're going to put it in slope intercept form. And when we do that, we just want to get y by itself on one side of the equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract my x. And when I do that, I'm going to get negative y is equal to negative x plus 3. Wrote it that way so we could keep it in the same formula, y is equal to mx plus b. But there's a big issue. The issue is when y is by itself now, there's a negative in front of it, and we cannot have that. So to get rid of the negative, we are going to divide by -1. All right. And once we divide y by -1, we have to go on the other side of the equation and do the same thing. So now our new equation turns into y is equal to positive x minus 3. So let's just take a quick pause right here. What does this equation actually mean? So for one, we should know that b is the y-intercept. So that means we're looking for a graph that our y-intercept is -3. So if we look at, let's see, C and D, these two answer choices have the correct y-intercept. So what I'm gonna do, let's just push A and B out the way. We're gonna cross these out because we know these are not the correct answer, right? All right. So what's the next best step for us to determine whether the answer is C or D? And the biggest thing right here for this part is X. So X is positive. So if you guys remember from one of our earlier slope videos, we talked about positive and negative slopes. So when we look at C, C is a positive slope. As we follow that line is trending up. That's a positive slope. And when we look at D, we know that this is a negative slope. When we look at the line going from left to right, it's going downwards. So that lets us know that it's a negative slope. So our correct answer choice for this problem would be C. But let's say we didn't remember the slope-intercept formula. So let's talk about standard form, which this equation is in. And we're going to talk about graphing by intercepts. So when we graph by intercepts, we're going to make one of our variables 0, and then we're going to solve for it. And then we're going to go ahead and then do the same thing for the other variable. So I'm going to solve for x first. So that means I'm going to make y 0. So we have x minus 0. This is equal to 3. And the 0 doesn't change the value, right? So we know that x is equal to positive 3. So we know that the x-intercept is 3. Now let's switch over and let's talk about our y-intercept. So if we want to find the y-intercept, guys, just remember that means we make x 0. So now we have 0 minus y is equal to positive 3. And our final answer will be negative y is equal to 3. However, there's a real big issue here. And the issue is our y is negative by itself. Cannot have a negative like that. A variable cannot be negative when it's by itself like this. So what we want to do here, we're going to do the same thing we did earlier and divide both y and 3 by -1. And once we do this, we're going to get an answer of y is equal to -3. So when we're looking at the intercepts now, we know we have an x-intercept of positive 3 and a y-intercept of -3. And as we said before, C is the only answer that satisfies both of our intercepts. So thank you guys for joining us today. This is Algebra 1 with Mr. Peters. This is our test taking Tuesdays. This is our strategy Tuesdays. Join us next week when we talk about inequalities. Thank you.